2025, going into 2025 like Kevin Petersen. Let's all hope that. Already bored with the year, but welcome. It's Thursday. We're back. Somehow, some way, they allow us back on the air. Kevin, how are you?
Oh, I'm here, baby. I'm here.
The art of showing up. Sometimes you just gotta show up.
90% of life is just showing up.
Is it though? Is it really?
Well, I don't know.
Well, our number one fan, the dog outside my window, is wanting to be part of the show. But anyway, we move on. Despite. So what's going on? So how was the holidays? Anything new?
Nice. No, it was really calm, really quiet. Life is really chill. It's things in Jacksonville Beach, Florida are very, very peaceful.
Well,
how about you? How are you doing?
I mean, it's I was actually excited to turn the page on this year. So I'm not saying 2024 was a bad year by any means, but I'm all for new beginnings and kind of clean slate and moving forward. I think 2025 will be an incredible year for everyone involved if we make it, if we allow it. But just real content, just kind of at ease. So, and that's new for me. That's new for me. So
I like it.
All righty. Well, we do this each and every week.
Yeah.
2 weeks we were on vacation, but Family Matters, we answered questions. We try to stump Kevin to the best of our ability. So let's get right into it. And I love this question. So
let me get ready.
Yes. It's like a riddle. So you're going to have to. So we have a husband that reached out, says off the top, my wife makes me watch your shows each and every week. But here's the problem. She's the problem. Our 24-year-old son, I'm a stepdad, technically in quotations, but the only dad he knows, is ongoing for multiple years, drug and alcohol abuse issues. He currently lives with us. He tried going away from college, 6 hours away from us. That has blown up in our face on numerous occasions. He moved into the dorm room, didn't like his roommate, so his mom, my wife, drove out there and got him an apartment just so he could be away from the roommate. This goes on and on and on. I am at my wit's end. I have told my wife I am wanting to leave if things don't change. I believe my son would go into treatment. In fact, has tried to go to treatment on 3 different occasions, got him to the front door, only to have my wife allow him to get back in the car with him and drive back home. I don't know what else to do. You guys are probably the only people that understand my situation. What is it? Should I just leave the marriage or leave the house? Because my wife refuses to help my son get sober. That very rarely do I read the whole email, but that wasn't a paraphrase.
So I got it. I hear it. I get it. I've heard this before. Normally it's the other way around, but that's okay. So here's the answer, and this is not a. It's not a not being self-promoting.
Yeah.
You're at the point where you need to sit down and talk to either me or Jay.
Oh shit.
Oh, careful there. It's an earthquake. The simple answer is that you're not going to convince your wife because she's not going to listen to you. And you're not going to convince your son because he's not going to listen to you because he knows he's got your wife to back him up. So what you need to do is you and your wife need to book an appointment with me or book an appointment with Jay and sit down and talk to us and let us lay it out for you. And because I get this all the time, I get one parent that's all in and one parent that's not. And we have to have a session where we sit down and figure why, what's going on, what's the obstacles, and then what I do is I like, okay, sure, then let's put together a plan. Some rules and regulations and some boundaries about alcohol and drugs and about school or work and then behavior. And we're going to give those, anywhere from a week to a month for to happen. And if they don't happen, then we're going to go to plan B, which is probably going to be inpatient treatment. But that way, everybody feels like they've played out their cards. That's really the answer. And I mean, I do this all the time. I get this family all the time. One person's all in, the other person's like, no. I can figure this out. I can manage this. And I get the problem. I totally get it. But what we got to do is sit down and work that out and make it clear that, yeah, no, that's not going to work. And you've tried. And I want you to understand, the longer you keep trying this, the closer you're pushing this guy to some serious consequences. And having that conversation. And that's really the answer. I mean, this is literally what I spend most of my time doing, is working with the parents on what it is they are comfortable with and how they want to go about it, and then helping them enact that plan.
How difficult is it to engage the one that thinks that they can keep it in-house, or, he's going to die if I don't come rescue him? I mean, It sounds like this guy, I mean, there was 3 paragraphs. I read pretty much a paragraph. Okay. There's still active addiction already. I mean, so how do you engage the unengageable, the parent that seems to think that I see this all the time, and so I'm projecting into a larger scale of not just this, but you always have that parent that just doesn't want to step in for fear that, the son, daughter, loved one will be uncomfortable. How do you engage the one that's disconnected?
Well, we talk about it. I'm like, okay, so, I lay out, this is the plan. And then they say X, Y, Z. It's, here's what I lay it out. Like, here's the plan. What I tend to start the conversation with is, so what is it you guys want to achieve? What do you want? And I hear what they say, and then I deliver them back what they're looking for. And then when they're like, well, that's probably not going to, I'm not comfortable doing that. Then we talk about that. Then I become the therapist. Oh, okay. Why? What's going on? Yeah. Tell me why. And I don't try to bully them or force them. I'm like, oh, okay, well, tell me why. What's going on? What's the sort? What stops you from being interested in making something happen? And that's when they kind of get a little like catastrophic. Like, well, he says he'll kill himself and he'll go live under a bridge. And I'm like, okay, so when he says that, you can call 911 and let them do their job and make it. I'm not in there to try to push them. It's just about hearing all their objections and giving them simple answers to those objections. And some people just aren't ready. They're just not, and that's okay. I'm not going to force them to do something they don't want to do. But I also, what I try to get across to them is, hey, look, this is, we can help you with this plan. This plan works. It's worked for years, and we know what we're doing. But if you're not interested or you're not committed, there's nothing I can do about that. We can talk about what your hesitancy is or what your objections are, and I can walk you through those objections. But at the end of the day, if you're still at that space where you're like, no, I'm not. I don't want my son to be mad at me. Well, okay. Well, then like we talk about people in recovery that are not ready to get sober. I mean, they're just not done. They haven't been in enough pain yet, Yeah. And
here's a family disease. So thinking that it's just this loved one that's actively addiction, you have a husband readily admitting he's wanting to leave I don't know if he says the house, the marriage, fill in the blanks, and the mom, it sounds as if, and I've seen it happen, that other parent saying, well, I'm choosing my son, my daughter in active addiction over a healthy, what seems to be a healthy marriage. This husband probably didn't want to message us because like most, we always hear from the mom more often than not, stereotyping.
Yeah,
but
we do. We do.
I guarantee you that I can feel that this husband, you have a husband wanting to leave the situation, leave the house, the bread, and that other parent saying, well, if that's what you got to do, that's what we're talking about with a family addiction, is choosing this. This has nothing to do with the loved one's active addiction. It does, because the mom is choosing that over a healthy marriage. It's mind blowing to me. And that that we have people that will allow their spouse to move out or do what they need to do for their love of their child and protecting them and enabling them. So
yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
It is. And I've certainly had couples that are like, this is disrupting our marriage. So then we start talking about that. It's like, okay, so how far do you want to go with this? And where are you at with this? And kind of talk about, are you willing to lose your marriage to allow your son to continue to use drugs? I mean, do you hear and sometimes just having someone to talk to about that and put some things on the table and have them be like, well, I mean, that's where having a third party in the conversation tends to be helpful. It's like, hey, look, this is not okay. You're and then really just trying to explain to them that, your child is killing themselves slowly and you're enabling it. And so the question is, do you want to give them a chance or give them an opportunity to get better? Yes or no? And we can help you with that. We can definitely help you with that. But if you don't want to, that's cool. But let's talk about what the consequences are going to be for you and why and how and what that looks like. And so sometimes we have to take a step back, right? I'm not even ready to plan what the next move is with the person that's suffering from addiction. It's more about working within the family structure and getting them ready to make the next move. Yeah. That happens all the time. Yeah.
Well, it is heartbreaking nonetheless. And I mean, keep reaching out. And I mean, I hope that this situation, as a point of reference, please reach out to Kevin in this situation. This sounds more of a family than, I can help with addiction with the loved one and kind of healthy boundaries, but this seems to be a pretty deep situation where there's going to have to be a level of somewhat therapeutic solution, and that's certainly not me. But anyway, it's heartbreaking nonetheless. We see it, hear about it. When they say addiction's a family disease, snapshot this. This is what we're talking about. So we'll get to another one.
Okay.
45-year-old successful son has cut off all contact with us as his family, his sister, his brother, nieces and nephews, us as parents. He's going through a very, very bad divorce, mental health, addiction issues at the root of him losing or arguing over custody of children. How do you guys deal with when there's lack of communication? I mean, she's like, zero contact with us as a family. We want to help our son.
Okay, this is definitely a tough one, right? Because it's a 45-year-old that's cut off contact. So when you say we want to help him, I hear you, but he may not want help. Just because you want to help him doesn't mean that he wants the help. And that's the challenge, right? And so what I would say is you can always, write him a letter, and we can coach you on how to write the letter, make it clear, and then set some boundaries with him and say, it sounds like you're already cutting off contact. He's already cut off contact. So there's not a whole lot to be done there. But you just got to make it really clear. Hey, look, if you're going to continue with this lifestyle, we're going to set some boundaries and we're going to keep our distance from you. And I know that's going to be painful and uncomfortable because you don't know what's going to happen. But right now, that's probably your best move. I mean, to be totally honest, that's what my family did with me when I was 26. They were like, we love you, but we don't want you around. And we're going to keep our distance from you. And until you're willing to address these issues and deal with this stuff, we're not going to have like this, casual relationship, like no big deal. Like this is the elephant in the middle of the room and we have to talk about it. And a lot of times that's the perspective I would like give this family is like, I get that he doesn't want to talk to you. And this is why, by the way. So what you guys need to do is sort of write something down, put something in and say, hey, look, there's an elephant in the middle of the room and we need to talk about it. You are killing yourself. And we want to help you. And we're willing to offer you help. But if you don't want the help, that's cool. But then we're going to keep our distance. And that means, and I understand there's grandchildren. And I mean, I understand all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you have to address the primary issue. The primary issue is this guy's killing himself with drugs, alcohol, whatever else. And that's where you got to start the conversation. You can't sneak around to the side or make it soft and gentle and fuzzy. You got to go in and be like, hey, look, man, you're going to die. And we don't want that. And we don't want that for your kids or anybody else. So let's talk about this because we love you. And you have to come in with that. We love you. We're your family. We love you. But you're killing yourself and we want to help you stop. And make the offer,
It's so difficult when there's an active kind of a divorce proceedings and custody, and when it becomes obvious that loved one can't hold up their end of the bargain as a parent and so forth. But there's so much potential, and just one decision doesn't mean for the rest of their life. They can get better and become a mom or a dad, a healthy mom or a healthy dad, and move forward. I think too many people within that get caught up in the moment. Well, I can't do anything because I got this divorce proceedings and it's going to look bad within my divorce proceedings if I go get treatment or if I admit that there's a problem. I think, it's an ongoing issue that people get caught up within the present moment, and they don't see the healthy future that they could be leading.
And that's where they need the help. They need somebody to sit down with them and say, look, I hear you, but you're going to die. I mean, this is where we're headed. This doesn't end well. And I get the whole divorce thing. And I mean, I've heard it all, and the truth is none of that crap's going to matter when you're dead.
Yeah.
Or you go to jail or whatever. None of that shit's going to matter because you're going to jail, and so how about we give you a way out? And sometimes just giving the offer, and they may not respond for weeks, months, or a year, who knows, but at least you're putting the offer on the table that, hey, I just want to let you know, we're willing to give you a way out, but you got to take it, and so who knows, right?
And I mean, you've seen it. We all see it. I mean, it's a miracle of recovery about you get your life back on the beam and back healthy, away from drugs and alcohol, and you become that incredible father. And in some cases I've seen get in full custody in a full circle kind of maneuver, and they realize that the other one is now back in unhealthy traits, and you very well could be that pillar of the family. I see it all the time. And I will also remind people, just in this moment, suffering moment doesn't carry on the rest of your life. You can become healthy if you make the right choices. So, all righty, this is it.
You got some serious action going on in the background there, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. You try to play it off, and you try to hit the mute as much as possible, but you know what? Sometimes God just wants to say, like, hey, I got a different plan. So anyway, we did this every week. So I'll see you next week, Kevin. And hopefully we our biggest fans, the dogs.
Yeah.
We won't open it up to the live audience anymore. We'll go to our private set again because our audience members are barking too much. So
I know, too many questions.
all right, I'll see you next week.